Hey, y'all.
Hola, welcome to 30 Minutes Down South. She's Allison.
And he's Carlos, and we are two top producing realtors.
With two extremely different southern upbringings.
Join us each week as we explore the Lake Murray area with our special guests.
And welcome, Allison, to 30 Minutes Down South.
Good morning, Carlos.
How are you today?
I am good. How about you?
Well, I'm sorry I spilled the coffee. I never bring the coffee here to the studio, because obvious reason there is technology. But today we're recording a little earlier than usual.
Mm-hmm.
And
You spilled the coffee all over my sweatshirt.
I did. I feel bad about it. How do you clean
should feel
coffee?
bad about
How do you
it.
clean coffee out of a
I
syringe?
don't know. I'm going to have to find out.
Well, the good thing is that you had a nice Remax shirt
That's
underneath.
right.
And
Of course.
it's,
Always representing.
water blue, which is appropriate.
Appropriate for today. Yes, I'm excited about our guest.
Are you?
I am.
You're never excited about any guest.
I'm always excited.
Why are you excited about this guest, Allison?
So this has been a long time coming. Spirit of Lake Murray, the iconic boat on Lake Murray that I watched sit for years pretty much whenever I'd cross over 378. And always thought how cool, but it just looks so old and dilapidated. Well,
And far.
Yeah, from us now,
Yeah,
for the people
from
over there.
Chapin,
Yeah.
correct.
But now it has been completely gutted, remodeled. It's back in commission. Is that the right word for
Yeah,
a ship? For a boat on the lake for dinner cruises, private events. So I'm just really excited. I think it's a great addition for Lake Murray, and can't wait to talk to Rick and see what all they've done with it.
Did you ever ride the old one?
I did not. Did you?
I did, yeah. I did. It was a private event, a private party. It was fun. I mean, like, you're right. The boat wasn't new, but it's it's a boat. Apparently, that boat was completely renovated by Rick and Norman Agnew. But let's hear from them.
All right. Sounds good.
And welcome, Rick Crout, to 30 Minutes Down South.
Well, thank you for having us.
Thanks so much, Rick. I was saying earlier, I've been wanting to get you on our podcast for a while now since the Spirit of Lake Murray has reopened. So tell us a little bit about, for those who don't know, what the Spirit of Lake Murray is and what y'all been doing.
Well, the Spirit of Lake Murray is an 80-foot long dinner cruise boat that's been on the lake now since about 2008. I think that's pretty close. Owned by another group of people, and they had the boat, and it was very successful for a very long time. And around 2019, they decided to sell the boat. The gentleman had gotten a little bit older, and his family kind of moved away, the son who was running the boat. And they had a great run, but decided to turn it over to somebody else. And I caught wind of that, and I talked to Norman about it, Norman Agnew, my partner. We went over and looked at the boat. Consequently, we bought the boat in November, December of 22. We had the ability at Norman's place to pull the boat out of the water, which was a big plus. And so we were able to do that and pulled it out of the water for 14 months and did an extensive overhaul of the boat. The hull, the sides, the windows, the interior, addition of a big bar, all new restrooms, all new galley. We just gutted the boat like you would a home and completely renovated the boat.
That's amazing. So 80 feet long, that's pretty big. How many people can y'all fit on a cruise?
We're able to legally take up to 97 passengers.
Okay.
That includes a crew?
Plus a crew.
Plus a crew. And how many people are in the crew?
Well, technically, we have to have a captain, obviously, and 2 deckhands from the Coast Guard standpoint. But we normally have 7 to 10 people on the boat because we have a kitchen, we have a chef, we have a bartender, we have servers, and Steve and Emily, our managers, are always on there. So normally we have between 7 and 10 of our people on the boat, crew-wise, and we've yet to have 97 passengers. We're comfortable at 50, 60 passengers. That's a real comfort zone for us. And but we're able to. We've had 80 something people on the boat. It'll accommodate that.
So when did y'all officially open?
Well, we got our Coast Guard certification in late December, early January, and that's an extensive inspection. In fact, the Coast Guard team that oversaw the Spirit rebuild, they were virtually up here for a year, once a week, and for all day,
Oh,
and
wow.
inspected everything we did from week to week to ensure that everything was done properly. And I will say this: by the end of the or halfway through that rebuild, the Coast Guard, um, I will say this, and I think they would concur, they were very happy with everything we were doing, because we would always go above and beyond the call of duty on this boat. And we took the, I guess, the attitude that we only want to do this one time.
That's
And
awesome.
that's what we did.
Well, I know Norman Agnew from his company Agnew Dog. They build a lot of dogs around here. What's your background, Rick?
What's my background?
Yes, sir.
Okay, well, I'm primarily aviation is my background. I grew up uh, flying airplanes, and I was a professional pilot at 21, and got into flying jets when I was probably 28 or 9 years old for various companies in Columbia. It was corporate jets, and did that for a long time. Then we started an aircraft sales company,
Hmm.
and we did that for about 17, 18 years. We had an extensive knowledge of corporate aviation and aircraft, and so we were pretty successful at that. And we did that up until about 10 years ago.
Cool.
So I guess my question is, how do you go from aviation to
To the
purchasing
ocean.
and restoring an 80-foot boat?
Well, aviation and and boating have a lot in common.
They do.
There's navigation, there's weather involved. There's a sense of running an airplane and running a boat that's a lot similar. You have to have a little bit of wits about you, especially on a boat as big as the Spirit. Norman's an absolute natural. He grew up doing that kind of thing, and I grew up on boats in Lake Murray. And I started doing charter, and I moved down to Vero Beach, and I had a bigger boat, and then I moved back to Charleston, or to Charleston for the first time. Had a couple of boats down there, bigger boats. Did a lot of charter there, and then came back home, and the Spirit just appeared, kind of, and it was an opportunity that we were both looking for.
That is awesome. That is awesome, Rick. So guide me a little bit towards how long does a ride last, and what type of menu do you offer?
Yeah, the rides are normally 2 hours for public cruises, and we have various types of cruises. We put together events ourselves, public cruises as we call them, and invite obviously the public to come along. Most of those cruises are $39 to get on the boat, and then whatever you eat or drink will be on top of that. That's generally the way that works. Occasionally we'll put a special out with a buffet. Like we had a barbecue buffet a couple weeks ago, and we included the buffet in it, and it was $59, which I think is a pretty good deal. You get a 2 hour ride and a buffet, and then of course whatever you drank was on top of that. So that's pretty much it. Now a lot of our business has to do with private events, where we'll do weddings or wedding rehearsals, various things like that, birthday parties, just whatever kind of event somebody wants the whole boat for. They might have 40 or 50 or 60 people, and we'll work with them and design a menu with our chef and Steve Price and Emily. They'll sit down with those folks and put together exactly what they want. Our chef is unbelievable. He was trained pretty much and worked in Charleston for 30 years,
Nice.
and some of his concoctions are just amazing. He's very good. He's amenable. He can do just about anything, and our recipe, our menu, I say, We'll have the basics on the boat. Our galley is not that big, but he puts out a lot of food for the size of the galley, and very quality food. But we'll have steak, some kind of steak, maybe a ribeye or something like that, or T-bone or something. We'll have a fish and a chicken, maybe a mahi, and then chicken with sauces that he creates. We'll have various obvious sides like, potatoes, or, just any kind of greens, that type thing. And then we'll have a dessert, uh, uh, something that we either create or we get. So the menu's not super extensive, but there's always three entrees at least from various food groups to pick from.
I've heard really good things about the food, and I do think the people around here, me included, are very what's the word I'm looking for?
You love food.
I love food.
Foodie.
Discriminating when they come to food, and and hard to please. I mean, they're pretty hard judges when it comes to the food around here. So to have heard the good things that I have, and know friends that are repeat customers on the boat, it must be pretty good.
Well, I think it is, and one of the reasons I think we get that and garner that reputation is Steve Price. Steve comes from a pretty good background. We go way back. Steve and I actually worked in the aviation business together. And then about now 12, 13 years ago, Steve took on I think it was the Bistro and then Tavern on Six. He was managers at both those places. So he learned the restaurant business. And Steve's, he likes to do things right. And so that's where the food started. And then he knew the chefs. He knew the service end of that industry unbelievably. And we pride ourselves on the service. We have really good servers. The food is good, but if the food's good and the service is not, you got to have both.
Right.
Yeah. And Steve and Emily bring that to the table.
Awesome. Where is the boat located? Where's your dock?
It's at Agnew's Lake Service. They're in Ballantyne at 216 Shadowwood Drive.
I love that it's on our side of the lake
right
now.
In the middle of Armo, Ballantyne now.
That's awesome. Yeah, because before you, it was located on the Lexington, close to Leesville side,
Yeah.
actually.
Yeah, it was way out Lexington 378. It was
Mhm.
almost as far out as you can get and still be on the lake. Really.
So somebody that says, man, it's 3 p.m. I haven't made any plans. I don't have anything to do. Can just go ahead and show up, or is it strictly by reservation?
Well, when we go out on a cruise, it is reservation because we have to have a manifest. We have to know who's on board the boat. That's Coast Guard regulations, and it helps us too to prepare the food. So it's really easy. We post every week or almost every day on Facebook, spiritoflakemurray.com or Spirit of Lake Murray, the group. And you can see our events every week, what dates we're going out. And recently we've added several each week. And we might have an Italian night. We might have a taco night or a barbecue night or just a regular menu night, Fridays and Saturdays. But it's easy to reserve. Just go resy.com, resy.com, put in Spirit of Lake Murray, and all our events will come up, and you just scroll through there, select the event, the number of people, and pay for that right there. And you don't pay for the food, you don't pay for the drinks, you just pay for the cruise on there, and that gets you on a reservation. Then when you show up, if it's a regular dinner cruise, you just pick from the menu, and just like any restaurant, you'll have a bill at the end of that.
I feel sure with the weather getting warmer and much nicer, y'all are going to stay pretty full.
Well, we're starting to fill up more and more, with the weather. The minute the weather turns 70, 75 degrees, the phone starts ringing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. It really is. And we're getting probably, I think yesterday we had 12 or 13 messages left for private cruises and some questions about public cruises. So we're getting a lot of feedback every day.
Now, this is probably a silly question, but do y'all ever offer just dinner and drinks without the boat actually going out, just from the dock?
Yeah, we did dockside dining for during the winter,
Okay.
kind of. January, February, March. When and 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 we were pretty successful at that because again, the food's good, the service is good. It's not easy to get the word out to everybody. So some nights were slow, but on Fridays and Saturdays, it was pretty good. We plan on doing that in the future. You'll see that. If you go online, and see when we'll be at the dock or when we're cruising. We are pushing to cruise more because it's a boat. That's
Right.
what people like to do. And if they can eat and they can cruise and they can have a drink, their favorite cocktail, we have a liquor license on the boat. We're a certified um, restaurant. So that's new to this boat. It never had those things, and that was through Steve's hard work and Emily's hard work to get all that done. So we're going to offer both of those things. Best thing to do is just stay up with us on Facebook right now.
That's
Cool, cool,
awesome.
cool. Do you do? I know that the older spirit of Lake Murray used to do purple martins
Yeah,
tours.
yeah. Our Purple Martin tours are already out there. We're right now. That's July and August, and I've done a lot of those tours in my tri-tune boat. I could only take six
Hmm.
because of the regulations, but I've probably done it, 50, 75 times. And they're an amazing sight. And so certainly we're going to do it on the Spirit, and we've already put those out for July and August. That's when you do those, and we're doing it on Sundays right now. So if you want to do the Purple Martin tours on the Spirit of Lake Murray, just go on again, Resi.com, and select Spirit and go all the way out to July and August, and it'll show the Purple Martin tours, and you can book it right there.
I bet those are filling up fast. Rick, when y'all go out on a cruise, does the boat take the same path every time, or do you cruise different places?
Well, we try to mix it up. We try to get in certain coves that um, people wouldn't expect us to come in. And Norman's really good at that because he knows this lake like the back of his hand, and I know it pretty well. But Norman grew up here putting docks in on every cove and every house. He can tell you who lives almost at every house on this lake. He's an amazing wealth of information. Um, so we're starting to kind of stick our necks in, our head into coves, and we like to go out around the dam. But a 2-hour cruise from Norman's honestly will get you about in front of my house. And I mean, really, it's 1 hour to front of my house, and a lot of times I'll come in my cove, and my wife Trish is sitting there waving at me, and people wonder, "What are you doing in here?" I said, "Well, I live there." So
Right.
anyway, so we'll come out of there, and if we got a 2.5 hour, sometimes 3 hour cruise, we'll get all the way to the dam and cruise across the dam. We want to get on the Lexington side a little bit more, and because it's the best advertising in the world is that boat sailing by your house.
Yeah.
That is
So
correct. Have you ever had anybody wanted to fish while they're on the tour?
no, you can't fish off this boat. No, it's a you have no access to the outside. You have access to the outside, but you're on the second level, and you do have access on the bow. We can put probably 20 people on the bow. Those are the two outside areas on the boat, and but no fishing on the boat. I don't even allow fishing on my pontoon boat because it'll mess it up.
I don't blame you.
People, have you ever had anybody getting sick? I
Like
know that.
seasick?
Yeah, like, you mean
No,
you go on the boat
not
all the time and you don't have a
yeah.
problem, but for some people might be kind of like, what do you recommend, or do you have something for them?
Well, I mean, this is not the ocean, okay? And I've done a lot of ocean boating, offshore, the Bahamas and things, and a lot of it is legitimate motion sickness. A lot of it is a little mental. Whenever you don't see land and don't have a reference point, and the boat's moving a little bit, uh, that could tend to get you a little woozy. On Lake Murray, that's never an issue. And this big old lake, this boat doesn't move around much in almost any of the waves. I mean, you might feel it a little bit. So we really haven't had that issue. And if somebody does tend to um, get seasick, there's all kind of things you can buy at the drugstore to put on your neck and that kind of thing. As far as emergency situations, we have everything on board. We've all been trained in CPR. So we certainly look out for those things. And we have plans in place if something happens to somebody to be able to call an ambulance or DNR and get to the quickest point we can get them off the boat. And we've already defined those points. So we're trying to think ahead. It's kind of like flying an airplane. You need to stay ahead of it a little bit.
That's awesome. So, Rick, if we come out for a cruise, are we going to see you on the boat?
Half the time or more. Norman and I split duties as captain. I've got it all this week, and he took the last one. I took one yesterday. I had another cruise on a pontoon boat, so it's going to be one of the two of us.
Okay,
so.
I didn't realize y'all were both captaining. I thought you would have hired somebody for that, so that's great.
Yeah. Well, I mean, eventually we probably will once this thing gets up and running, and we're doing 4 or 5 tours a week during the summer, spring, and fall areas. Then Christmas, and we have a lot of busy seasons that don't normally go along with summertime on the lake, because you have Christmas parties and things like that too. But if we get really busy, we're planning on putting 1 or 2 more captains on the boat.
That's awesome. You still have room for reservations for the 4th of July fireworks?
That's that. I think I'd have to get with you on the phone about that. Lake Murray Country predominantly has the boat for the 4th of July fireworks.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if we're going to be able to put any public on there. I think we will. So give us a call, and I'll research that a little bit. I got to check up with Miriam Atram, who's the president CEO of Lake Murray Country. But they're going to use the boat a lot. They are some of our biggest fans, because, as you know, their job is to bring business from out of state or out of the town to Lake Murray. And she was a huge backing for us in terms of saying, we want spirit back on this lake. It helps us. It helps you. So she's going to use the boat a lot.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Well, Rick, thank you so much. You have answered a lot of questions that I had about the Spirit, and I'm just excited to get out there and actually get on the boat and see what all you have to offer.
Well, come on out. We'd love to see you guys, and we really appreciate the exposure and the time this morning.
Absolutely. Thank you, Rick. See you in the water.
Thank you now.
Thanks. Take care.
That was cool.
That was. I didn't realize it was 80 feet long. That's a big boat.
80 feet long. I mean, I can't. What do you think is 80 feet? So we can compare it to something. 100 yards. They're going to put you on the spot. How many feet is 100 yards?
It's 300 feet.
So it'll be kind of
it'd be like half a football field.
That's huge.
Yeah, it's pretty big. And he's talking about going in coves. Like, obviously, they're pretty good captains to be able to take an 80-foot boat in some of these coves. I'm sure these homeowners are looking out going, what in the world?
I know. I haven't seen it on mine, but I'll pay more attention to it.
I haven't seen it on mine either. It doesn't come on land.
Yeah. So, what do you think is like the coolest thing that you can do in that boat? I mean, like, you go over there, you have dinner, you have a couple drinks.
I mean, I think that's great. But also what he was talking about was all the private events and all in the off season. Because I mean, like, for those of us who have a boat, like, I'm not out there on the water in December. I mean, you know me, it's 75 degrees and I hibernate. But for them to have the big enclosed portion so they can really use it year round comfortably for people to be out there on the water and, provide, from what I've heard, not from him, but from people who've actually been on the boat, quality food, drinks, and service. I just think that's a great asset for our area.
Yeah, and I think that the prices are also very affordable, It's
I do too. I think he said, $39 for a cruise, and somebody was like, well, that's expensive. And I'm like, well, think about the price of gas to begin with.
Yeah.
Plus all the money and renovations. He said he's got about a 10-man crew every time they just leave the dock, I think that's actually really reasonable.
Well, if you look at the addition of entertainment, you go to a restaurant, you spend, $50, $60, $70, whatever amount per person.
Right.
That's just for a table in a nice spot, right?
Yep.
So now you add the entertainment part. Let's say that you, instead of going to the theater that day, or instead of going to the movies that day,
Right.
or instead of whatever other entertainment on top of the dining.
Yeah, it's more than just dinner.
Correct. Exactly. You have that. I wanna see if we can put some band in there, some music, salsa dancing. We can have salsa dancing there.
Maybe you can have the Latin party there next year.
You know what, Allison?
That would be cool.
The only thing is that it fits 80 people.
Mm-hmm.
So we need to do several trips.
Yeah, you might have to do that. But yeah, that would be cool if they had live music. We didn't ask him about that.
We did not. You know what? He's gonna listen. So, Rick, here is an idea for you.
Yeah.
You might want to try the live music, man. I'm pretty sure that they have.
Yeah.
If you do events, I don't know. I don't want to put the
It would be
words
fun.
on it. Yeah. Anyway,
Something to think about for sure.
Yeah, I know. When are we going?
I heard they were having a special, like half off on like Wednesdays and Thursdays or something. I love a good deal, so I'm gonna have to look for a special. But I thought it was also interesting how he said, they've worked so much with Lake Murray Country, and that one of the big reasons Lake Murray Country was so supportive of them, renovating the Spirit of Lake Murray and getting it back on the water is because it was so good for business. And I think that's very true that, you can get businesses out there on private events to see how important the lake is
And
to
how
our
big.
community and how big.
Yeah, that's the first reaction that people, think about Lake Murray when they see it for the first time. They say, wow, this is bigger than I thought it was
Yes.
going to be.
Yes. Over 500 miles of shoreline.
That's correct.
Yeah. It's funny when people will say, I want to go look at some houses on the lake. And then they pick one on the Chapin side and they pick one on the Leesville side. And they're like,
It's just
an hour, right? And I'm like, it's an hour between the houses. People, really cannot comprehend the size of the lake. And I feel like we don't even use the majority of it.
Yeah, we certainly can't. It's so big that we can't. But they do, and it's a natural resource, and they're using it properly, and allowing people that otherwise won't be able to enjoy it. 'Cause
Yeah.
not everybody knows how to use a boat, or has a boat, or is interested in ever learning, or whatever.
And I think, right now, this time period we're in our area, we're just seeing an explosion of business growth on the lake. Really, I guess maybe more revitalization would be the right word. Because, I think about, but I'm thinking about businesses, properties that were already in existence that now people like Norman and Rick are purchasing, they're redoing them, they're bringing them up to today's standards, and they're offering things to the community that they want.
Yeah, some people will call that gentrification.
Well,
anyway,
got me
listen, 30 minutes down in the nose.
I guess so.
Yeah.
He's cutting me off this time.
No, keep going.
No, I'm good.
Okay, no, keep going. I want to see what you say.
Hey, I've got to go book my reservation on Resi.com.
There you go. Me too. Anyway, thank you for listening. See you guys next week.
Bye.
30 minutes outside.